Humans are highly visual creatures. We rely on visual cues for both basic and complex behaviors. Close to half the human brain is either directly or indirectly devoted to processing visual information. Because of this reliance, we have become quite adept at capturing our counterparts' attention by crafting enticing commercials and trailers that seize our focus and attract us into purchasing products. One such product is a video game, where the industry of advertising has pushed beyond the limits of conventional previews. Some of the greatest trailers of video games do not use game footage or even parts of the game that actually exist. Many of them are completely original and built from scratch. These trailers are the best in my opinion, and there are many today that are incredibly beautiful. In this video, we're going to look at my favorite one, the best of the best, for this trailer holds a hidden secret I think none have noticed since the day it was released. Let's fucking go. There are plenty of examples that come to mind when thinking about my favorite video game trailers. Literally any of the Star Wars Old Republic game trailers have unbelievably amazing cinematics that dazzle the eye and lend themselves to be fucking small movies. Why no one has optioned this animation style to be turned into a real Star Wars movie is beyond me. This style is perfect for the Star Wars universe and could be a marvel to watch if a studio really took the time to make a film with this animation. I mean, look at the lightsaber combat, the fluidity of the movement, the clashes of the weapons, the manner in which the characters engage in battle. The style is beautiful. Look at this. You can even see the animators added the Sith Lord not only anticipating the Force attack from the Jedi, but augmenting his defense with his lightsaber. It's incredible! Fights could be massive or small, complex or simple, and the use of animation really allows pretty much any physical action exerted by the characters to be easily accepted in the eyes of the viewer, as opposed to many of the heavily CGI'd characters and fight scenes we have today. Like, just use animation already. Another one that comes to mind is the Overwatch trailer for the character Bastion. This is a stunning trailer that blew me away with the sudden and heartbreaking switch from peace and tranquility to explosive violence and warfare. In the trailer, we see a robot that has apparently been out of commission for some time now. He wakes up, for lack of better terms, and while he attempts to figure out where he is and why, we witness him enjoying the nature around him. It's the complete opposite of him. Cold metal in the midst of nature and wildlife. Viewers ask themselves if he could become a part of this world. Could he join the peace of the environment around him? Why is he here to begin with? What is his purpose? Then, this happens. We see he is a weapon of war, programmed to kill and unleash storms of lead and steel into his enemies. He doesn't belong in nature. He is a cancer to the landscape around him, and his purpose does not suit the proliferation of life, but the destruction of it. Although the ending of this trailer is a lot happier than I'm letting on, the parts I'm talking about and showing to you here were incredible moments of entertainment when I first saw it. My second favorite trailer comes from Titanfall 2. Although the latter half of this cinematic really drops the ball, and I usually end up not even watching it past a certain point, the parts before it starts this downward spiral are absolutely amazing. See for yourself. I'm not even gonna talk about it.
Of all the things I've seen on the battlefields of the frontier, the pilot is the true dominant force. Fast and agile, Graceful, yet devastating. Perceptive, resourceful, and relentless. A pilot sees the world differently. Sheer walls become flanking routes. Pilots fight differently. Experienced in deception and maneuver, even overwhelming odds shift in their favor. But what truly separates the pilot from all the grunts and machines of the battlefield is the bond between a pilot and a Titan. To a Titan, a pilot can only be stopped by overwhelming force, or an equal.
We can see from these three examples that video game trailers are not limited by actual gameplay or cinematic footage from the game itself. They can stand completely on their own and exhibit any part of the game the developers wanted to. Where movies can be criticized for not having scenes from its own trailer, video game cinematic trailers are free to showcase anything and everything, and rarely do they spoil any part of the game itself. On the contrary, many enthusiasts gain huge numbers of followers by merely dissecting these trailers to seek out secret additions or mechanics that the product might incorporate into its gameplay. Assassin's Creed 3 had some unbelievable trailers. I was 19 at the time it came out, and I was already ensconced in the Assassin's Creed universe. The trailers up to this point were amazing. Every Assassin's Creed, except for stupid buttfuck Odyssey, had a cinematic trailer depicting the assassin in the upcoming game assassinating a Templar. And make no mistake, these trailers are seriously impressive. The hero's actions are beautiful to watch, the fight scenes are intense, and the cinematics as a whole do a fantastic job of not only setting the tone of the game, but also outlining the character of the hero in the story. I mean, look at this short trailer of Connor. He's an animal. He's an unhinged animal tearing his way through his enemies. Wait, hold on. I gotta see that again. Oh my god, so good. Even the weapons trailer is amazing. It just makes me want to put some fucking bumpin' music to it. Hold on, let me try something here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck, that's cool. So, why this massive introduction and explanation of video game trailers? Did I really need to clarify the details of these things in order to make this video? Yes, because I truly think the trailer we are about to discuss not only advertised its game perfectly, but also showcased beautiful animation, revealed characteristics of the hero we were going to inhabit, and, most importantly, held a secret that has eluded players of Assassin's Creed for years. The secret is this: the Assassin's Creed 3 cinematic trailer outlines the entire story of the Assassin's Creed universe, and I am going to explain how. So, let's watch it and then talk about it. See you in a few.
I watch them fight and die in the name of freedom. They speak of liberty and justice, but for who?
on him!
There are two levels of content in this trailer. The first, more superficial level, involves anything that players may not have noticed in the cinematic, and will largely act as a summary and explanation of the events portrayed. The second, more deeper level, will be a closer look at the events and explain how it acts as a perfect analogy for the Assassin's Creed universe narrative as a whole. Because of this, I will go through the first level and second level separately. Let's do it.
Let's watch my favorite part again, shall we?
We open with the showcasing of a British field commander. We do not know why he is being focused on or why we should be aware of his existence, but maybe with time we can see why he's important. British forces are taking the field, advancing on the Americans and driving the rebels back. American forces seem to be retreating en masse. A rout is indeed in progress here. In the distance, an eagle watches the battlefield from the sidelines. The situation seems dire for the Americans, and the eagle takes flight towards the field. Soaring through the wooded landscapes on the flanks of the battlefield, the eagle dodges branch and tree, and we can spot several dead British soldiers along its flight path. This sequence culminates in Connor emerging from the forest. Let's stop here. In case anyone is not aware of this, the eagle has been the symbol of the Assassin Brotherhood since the conception of the franchise. Not only are leaps of faith made to sound like the cries of eagles, but many of the characters we have been introduced to in the franchise possess names that, in some way, linguistically reflect eagles. Although there are a few that don't indicate the meaning of eagle, on the whole, Ubisoft attempted to present to us the symbolism of eagles in their creations, and it's clear that the Assassin Brotherhood is largely represented by the existence of eagles in their titles. So, the eagle flying through the woods represents Connor. He was surveying the battlefield and traveled through the forest, eliminating several British soldiers on the way. The clearest example of this symbolism lies in the moment where the eagle literally turns into Connor when he enters the cinematic for the first time. We then see Connor enter the base, and this is probably my favorite part of the trailer. His objective is so clear, his disposition so serious, he completely ignores all of the resistance and attention he attracts with an obvious aura of indifference. Even the troops he pushes aside are completely baffled by his appearance. American troops are hopeless, defeated. We can see almost all of them moving away from the direction of the fighting. We can hear one of the soldiers tell Connor to hold, probably to ask who the hell he is and what he thinks he's doing. This is another thing to add to this scene. This sequence of Connor entering the rebel camp shows us one of two things. That either the American position is collapsing so much to the point where random strangers can enter without any difficulty whatsoever, or that Connor is so competent that he can just be where he wants to be at any time due to his traversal skills. Either way, the sight of Connor entering the staging area would be fairly jarring for any American soldiers in the vicinity. While Connor moves forward, we can see in the background a horse flailing wildly. Even the ones who own the horse cannot keep it under control. However, what happens when Connor takes the reins? Complete obedience. Love it. This next part is a marvel to watch. I love that Connor literally jumps straight toward the fight. I love that it shows Connor advancing while everyone else is retreating. I love that he pulls the horse's head down and away from the front so that it doesn't hesitate in moving forward. And I love that he abandons the horse after it had served its purpose. Connor moving upon the British lines in this way presents to us a young warrior who has indeed done his research on his enemies. He knows exactly how the British fight. If he can advance a few hundred yards while the British reload, he can find cover, use it while they unleash another volley of lead, then displays to advance once more. Connor executes these maneuvers perfectly and finally reaches the British front line. Instead of fighting each individual soldier that's in his vicinity, Connor instead chooses to only engage the ones that directly stand in his way of progressing forward. Although he is tearing through these unlucky few with ferocious brutality, he is indifferent to anybody in his periphery. Connor seems to be advancing in one direction and one direction only. Where is he going? What is he after? While this is happening, the Americans are asking the same questions. We can see here what looks like a field commander surveying the events unfolding and growing ever more curious, along with his counterpart looking to him for some kind of answer. We jump back to Connor, who disarms a British regular, uses the bayonet on the musket to stick him, then shoots through his body to eliminate not only him, but the unfortunate soul that happens to be directly behind him. The assassin knocks out a third approaching soldier, grabs him, and uses him as a human shield, perfectly timed for the next volley of British fire. Efficiency and speed. Connor is chock full of both. There is something small I wanted to mention here. Some of you might be curious as to how Connor has been able to navigate through the British ranks and still be alive. Actually, we can see in several instances the front line the assassin traversed through some time ago. However, if we think about the situation currently at hand, it makes perfect sense. The soldiers at the front cannot engage Connor. They've missed their chance. The presence of the British reserves, a presence Connor is heading toward right now, completely negates any sense of dealing with the intruder. They would risk hitting their own men, not to mention that although the Americans have been breaking contact over the past few minutes, this does not signify in the slightest that there isn't fire still being engaged on both sides. This is a battle after all. Connor is still alive because his strategy of direct confrontation has figuratively covered all of his flanks from enemy fire, save maybe his front, and if the British keep attempting to close in to engage him in hand-to-hand combat like they are, his front is also covered. The Redcoats don't know what to do or how to deal with him. They can't pursue if he passes them because the integrity of the lines needs to remain for the battle. They can't fire at him, else they risk firing upon their own men, and they can't stop him in melee combat. The situation, although extremely peculiar, is alarming for the English. It's at this point we can further see the reactions of the Americans witnessing this shocking event. It seems that many of them are gaining morale simply by watching this young man's actions. We can see in this frame that one British soldier is actually shot by a bullet perhaps shot by what we see in the next sequence by one of the rebel riflemen. The Americans are finally getting back into the fight, with renewed vigor. At this point, now that the retreat has ended and the rebels are entering the fray once again, they inadvertently assist Connor in his advance by launching artillery barrages upon the British. Connor is obviously not opposed to this assistance, and after the last cannonball lays into the British before him, Connor sees his mark. If looks could kill. Probably the best shot in the cinematic. Connor is shown in the middle of a group of soldiers all falling around him. The British front line, the same one that Connor had navigated through moments earlier, are all frantically reloading after their last volley, and we can see the Americans charging the field. All of this in one frame. Incredible. Here we can see all the effort Connor has put in the last few minutes finally come to fruition. He finds his target. He's made his way through the forest, through the American camp, through the raging battlefield, through the front lines of the British army, and has laid eyes on his objective, the British field commander. And this field commander seems to know exactly who this is and what he's here for. The commander's efforts to have his men eliminate the threat fail, and Connor, with his superior skill in all weaponry, manages to hit the general with an arrow near his heart. The trailer then cuts to Connor approaching the wounded redcoat, pushes his garment aside, revealing the Templar cross around his neck. The commander was a Templar. That's why Connor was after him. Additionally, the area around them is barren, mirroring the very parts of the game that have our assassin protagonists encountering the Templar targets after they've assassinated them. A very interesting inclusion in the trailer, and easy to miss if one does not take the time to think about how the forces around Connor suddenly disappear once he approaches his enemy. The penultimate portion of the trailer shows us George Washington, witnessing all of this, realizing that amidst the war he finds himself immersed in, there might be deeper, more mysterious and enigmatic forces at play here. This conflict is not merely a fight between two nations. Something is happening behind the scenes, and both sides are seemingly not alone during this fight. A realization that would be rather unnerving to a leader of a faction desperately struggling for freedom. Are these my friends? My enemies? What are they after? What are they fighting over? What exactly are they willing to sacrifice for victory? What designs do they have for the nation after this conflict ends? So many questions, and I believe any one of us would be as worried as Washington looks to be right now. The ending shows the same eagle from earlier flying over the field, where we can see the Americans have overrun the British position and claimed victory. And this is where we shift into the deeper meaning of the trailer, the story it tells. Assassin's Creed is a story of two factions desiring peace on Earth. Before the dawn of human recorded history, there were gods, known as the Isu, that both created and owned humans. Men during this time were slaves to these gods, who controlled their free will using artifacts of technology known as the Pieces of Eden. I don't want to go too far into the background of the series, but somehow two human slaves, Adam and Eve, escaped the clutches of these gods by stealing an apple of Eden and began humanity's dominion over the Earth. Ever since then, two groups, the Assassins and Templars, have been fighting each other over control of these pieces of Eden. Both groups see the endless cycle of violence humanity is capable of, and desire for this to end. However, these two factions have differing philosophies on how to go about fixing it. The Templars desire to find and utilize the pieces of Eden to force humanity into peace, by controlling their actions and dominating their minds with the same technology used so long ago. The Templars do not believe humanity is capable of total peace on its own. It must have shepherds, guardians, keepers that maintain the peace via control. Parents, if you will. Opposing this group is the Assassin Brotherhood, who, much like the Templars, desire peace as well, but believe that humanity should reach this peace on their own, through diplomacy, love, trust, and openness with one another. The only reason assassins pursue the Pieces of Eden is to hide them from the Templars and keep them away from the enemy, lest they use it to dominate the minds of the masses. The Templars have managed to build a presence in every country, every government, every system, and seem to possess endless resources and influence due to having so many followers that hold this ideology of power. The assassins are always one step behind, but never far enough to be helpless in the fight for humanity. Alright, so the background is set. But how does this trailer tell the story of Assassin's Creed? Well, almost every facet of this cinematic is an analogy. The battlefield is the world. All the conflict, war, violence, and bloodshed we witness each and every day. The British military are the real-world organizations and factions that are unknowingly hijacked and being used as tools by the Templars to instill the tenets of order upon humanity. In fact, if you wish to dive even deeper here, the British can also be viewed as the Pieces of Eden, which themselves are tools used to force servitude and compliance upon the citizens of the earth. And to this point, we can view the Americans as the free citizens of the world, struggling to combat the growing influences and control of the Templar Brotherhood. Additionally, we've already discussed that the Eagle, who is watching the conflict from afar, is the Assassin Brotherhood, who steps in to defend the freedoms of the populace from tyranny when necessary. Connor's actions are so unbelievable, so unfathomably heroic, that the citizens are provided with the motivation and inspiration to rise up to confront this tyranny. This is the Assassin's duty, to assist the people of Earth in defending themselves from both physical and mental oppression. Contrary to what you might be thinking, this small fight, the retreating Americans, the possibility of a battlefield defeat, the overrunning of rebel positions, the deaths of soldiers on the fields of battle mean nothing to Connor. This battle is just a symptom. The real fight is with the disease, the Templars behind the scenes. Connor is so indifferent to the Americans when entering the fight because the current situation the Americans find themselves in pales in comparison to what is actually transpiring on this battlefield. A victory here is not against the British armed forces. It is not an American rout. It's the elimination of the corrupt leaders that have stolen organizations and their resources to suit their own desires. Connor is here for the Templar, nothing more. The Americans simply happen to be on the side against the assassin's sworn enemy. Victory, where the prize is the fate of humanity, is not won on battlefields, nor is it won by electing moral people to offices of governmental power. It is fought in the shadows of daily events between assassins and Templars, an ideological fight, almost spiritual one, and this is the secret the Assassin's Creed 3 cinematic trailer holds. It tells the entire story of the game universe. A Templar commanding a British battalion is overwhelming a small force of American rebels fighting for freedom. Connor watches from the sidelines and takes action by moving through the American position and charges the British lines. He successfully takes out the Templar, thereby motivating the Americans to regain the initiative and fight back against the enemy, where the rebels gain victory over the British and earn the freedom that they deserve. The Templars, using resources, organizations, and Pieces of Eden as tools, attempt to dominate humanity's free will with overwhelming force. The assassins see what is transpiring and act, hiding in plain sight with the free citizens of Earth, and eliminate the Templars who are pulling the strings from the background. The people, witness to the assassinations of tyrants and oppressors, gain renewed inspiration to fight back against these threats, gaining victory over the corrupted institutions and earning the freedom that they deserve. And, at the end of the day, after the fighting and bloodshed has come to an end, and the free peoples emerge victorious, the assassins continue to remain vigilant and watch over humanity to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. Until next time.
I'm